Greetings shippers, welcome back, and it's time to talk about Tumblr once again. Recently at the time of this recording, we discussed Tumblr and the upcoming, at that point, Tumblr Purge. Some of the history of Tumblr, what led up to it, and how it was being implemented, and fears people had about what it would mean for fandom, Tumblr, and online culture in general. This was of course an overview, because Tumblr is a very multifaceted place and people have very nuanced and differing experiences on the platform. So if you missed all of that, then please check it out. You can click the card or the link will be down below, because we're not going to be going over everything in this video. Today we're going to be looking at the Purge itself, and the fallout, and a lot of the different feelings swirling around it, as well as some of the damage control that Tumblr has currently attempted to run. Earlier in the month of December of 2018, following a removal from the App Store in November of 2018, Tumblr announced that it was going to be doing a not safe for work content purge, a complete adult content ban. This was only announced after the purge attempted to begin quietly, but the results were so noticed that an announcement needed to be made. Ostensibly, the purge was to occur because of child porn that had been spotted on the website and had not been caught by the filters. However, there are some critics who feel that there are other sites that also suffer from child pornography problems, unfortunately, and yet still manage to remain in the App Store, and also have policies put in place that did not unilaterally remove all types of adult content. As a result, some doubt this purge's intent. Indeed, many had a problem with the language that was being used to discuss this, as it made it seem that all porn or adult content was to be equated with child porn, which is 100% not the case. Some also felt that Tumblr was no longer a safe space to express all of these different feelings about sexuality, particularly when it came to fandom, as despite it not being its original mantra, Tumblr had become a fandom hub, and one of its uses was for explicit content. Though it must be noted that while it is a well-known cultural joke or meme that Tumblr is used for porn, it is not all it is employed for, and that it has a great many users who are going there for different reasons. And it also depends upon how one classifies pornography, which Tumblr currently paints with a very broad brush. However, for some, looking at an explicit image or reading an NC-17 rated story may not count as pornography, whereas for others it might. This of course can lead to people having very skewed visions of Tumblr and how much adult content is actually on it, particularly when the mindset from the outside looking in is that it is mostly porn, a mindset also shared by certain users. However, there are some who state that they have not encountered much porn, at least not that much created by actual users. Porn bots is another issue, as some found that they did have a hard time escaping not safe for work content. The announcement of the purge was met with instant backlash from a variety of sources, a larger backlash to any purge than has been seen to date, largely because it extended beyond solely fandom content. This was largely not only because of what the purge represented, but also because of the terminology, wording, and focus of the new announcement of what was no longer allowed, as well as how completely incompetent the bot that was being employed was. From the start of the purge, things that should not have been flagged were being flagged. This included much safe for work art on top of not safe for work, and also it did not eliminate the porn bots. In fact, in one ironic moment, post the start of the purge officially on December 17th, the bot was actually flagging examples of what was art that was allowed, which did not build people's confidence. Indeed, a lot of the problems people have with purges like this is that they do not have confidence that they will be applied correctly, and in the case of the Tumblr purge, it already has not been. Many of course also fear the loss of self-expression, and that these online spaces are becoming more and more policed and more corporate. It must also be noted that some do agree with this decision and feel that in order to eradicate child porn, all must be done, and that they would actually prefer a space where there wasn't adult content on it. However, others note that Tumblr has always had a strict policy as to what was and was not allowed, as well as a safe content filter that could be turned on or off. The problem was that oftentimes the policies were not enforced, and that the features on Tumblr did not always work. As a result, using Tumblr could often be a glitchy experience, especially because of its interface that could rapidly lead one down a path they had not intended upon. However, many felt that that was par for the course, and one of the things that made Tumblr such a wonderful space, that one could express themselves in this way on such a platform and be so free about it. This of course leads back to what is being removed and what is not being removed. Many feel that the wording of the original post detailing what would would and would not be allowed was very puritanical and targeted women and female bodies in particular, in a way that was not appreciated, as a vast majority of Tumblr's user base is young females. As a result, some also feel that this is stopping females from being able to express their sexuality online, saying that it is deviant and not allowed. This fear is also being paralleled by the LGBTQ+ community, as there are not a great many spaces online where one can be as free with their content as they could be on Tumblr. And as a result, many feel that this is a safe haven for many marginalized groups of people that is now being removed. This fear is also being shared by sex workers and also a great many artists who are making a commission living off of Tumblr. This included artists from other countries, some of which were Tumblr Is banned, who actually had to have Western proxies set up accounts so that others could see their art, and don't really have the means to fight any flags, false or not. Of course, some hold the belief that people should not be beholden to these platforms, and that their intended purpose is not as money-making ventures. Tumblr attempted to ease the minds of those with concerns by amending their initial statement and adding to it in a blog post. Hey Tumblr, a couple of weeks ago we announced an update to our community guidelines regarding adult content, and we've received a lot of questions and feedback from you. First and foremost, we are sorry that this has not been an easy transition, and we know we can do a better job of explaining what we're doing. We knew this wasn't going to be an easy task, and we appreciate your patience as we work through the challenges and limitations of correctly flagging tens of billions of GIFs, videos, and photos. Today, December 17th, our policy begins to take effect. This means we will start hiding, not deleting, posts that contain GIFs, videos, and photos from public view that are in violation of our policy. Again, this is a complex problem, and over the coming weeks we will gradually and carefully flag more adult content. Yes, we will still make mistakes, but hopefully fewer and fewer. Tumblr will always be a place to explore your identity. Tumblr has always been home to marginalized communities and always will be. We fully recognize Tumblr's special obligation to these communities and are committed to ensuring that our new policy on adult content does not silence the vital conversations that take place here every day. LGBTQ+ conversations, exploration of sexuality and gender, efforts to document the lives and challenges of those in the sex worker industry, and posts with pictures, videos, and GIFs of gender confirmation surgery are all examples of content that is not only permitted on Tumblr, but actively encouraged. Your content will not be deleted. If your posts are flagged under the new policy, they will be hidden from public view and will only be visible to you. You can appeal these flags if you feel your content was erroneously marked as adult content. Upcoming feature changes will also make appeals more manageable for those of you with multiple flagged posts. Your blogs won't be deleted if you've posted adult content in the past, and there is nothing you need to do if you have interacted with adult content up until now. It will just be flagged and not publicly viewable. Don't forget too that you can download your content. It's yours after all, and we don't take that lightly. While some have accepted this, others are concerned, particularly as this purge has currently not been going to plan. For many, it has brought up feelings of resentment about what is now being allowed to stay on Tumblr, as many feel that there are certain communities that are much more problematic than those creating not safe for work art, particularly as the majority of not safe for work art on Tumblr was not child porn. As a result, some are upset that extremist blogs or self-harm blogs, or even in some cases map communities, have been allowed to stay up, whereas these in many cases art posts or tales of personal experiences and discovery have been taken down. Reiterating the first point that there must have been a way to do a more targeted purge than was employed. Some disagree with this decision so much that they have voluntarily deleted their Tumblrs, be that the app from their phone or their actual blogs. And many have attempted to archive their blogs or find alternate places that they can be housed because they no longer trust Tumblr. As if the rules can change this quickly and this drastically, they no longer feel comfortable using the platform. This is the case with certain classic blogs such as Escher Girls, which is now looking to find a new place to house its content as they do not feel comfortable or agree with the actions that Tumblr is currently taking. This caused another interesting angle to occur in this purge. Many archivists felt that it was important to maintain as many blogs as possible to showcase this period in fandom history, as Tumblr has indeed been an integral part of the online and fandom landscape for many years. As a result, the Tumblr Warriors Project, a group of archivists, were attempting to archive as many of these not safe for work blogs as possible for historical purposes and to see just how many actually involved very problematic content. However, these archivists found their IP addresses blocked. There is now a discussion going on as to whether or not this was intentional or not. The idea being that some believe that Tumblr is attempting to purge this part of its entire history, hoping that one day people, particularly advertisers, will forget, and that Tumblr can now have a different image as a platform, as currently, regardless of how much porn is actually on it, that is the perception of what the platform is. However, others feel that this was a natural occurrence because of how much traffic was being driven towards the site. night, as the archivists only had 2 weeks to get as many blogs down as possible, and Tumblr has hundreds of millions of blogs. Ernie Smith, a tech journalist who ran a blog on Tumblr for 4 years, speculated, archival activity functions not all that dissimilar to a DDoS attack, in that both involve a whole lot of server polling all at once. If this is the case, giving users 2 weeks notice to panic download the data surely didn't help the situation. Other users claim that certain archivists are being targeted and not others, and certain archivists have very clear rationales for why they are attempting to download the blogs that they are. With users such as Daraman writing, Tumblr is about to torch queer history, and there's nothing I can do to save it because of content filters. These are not harmless policies. These are not policies that protect children. These are policies that silence queer people and literally destroy our history. Jason Scott tweeted out about the effort to save as many blogs as possible to the Wayback Machine. However, noted, when Oath/Verizon/Tumblr slams the lid down starting December 17th, that's it. We can't do anything more on our end. We can only see what's public on the internet anyway. That means we're moving at EMT speed during a flaming fire of the worst kind of internet shutdown. Scott went on to further state, I wish a tiny bit of that ire could be aimed towards the fact that this entire crisis is completely made up and the result of a truly random decision. I wouldn't trust those organizations with any personal data. Results of people who have attempted to back up their blogs have varied. Some have had success and some have not been able to. As not everyone was notified right away when their posts or blogs were taken down or deemed not safe for work and no longer appropriate for Tumblr, not everybody had time to save all of their work, and not everybody had it backed up. An unfortunate, sad reminder that it is always important, if possible, to house one's work on either a separate archive or some kind of hard drive or software, just so that one can go back to it, revisit it, and if one desires, repost it. There have indeed now been claims by some that the appeals button is no longer there, that being the appeal button that one would see when their work was flagged not safe for work. There are some who are now saying that their works are being flagged, but the button is no longer there, and they can no longer appeal the decision. It is unclear at the time of this recording whether this is intentional or a glitch, as Tumblr has been experiencing many glitches during this purge. However, some feel that Tumblr wants all of its decisions around this topic to be final. There are many who have been trying to beat the code, trying to beat the censor bot. Some just out of curiosity to see how it can be done and how effective the bot actually is, and others in an attempt to actually keep their work up on Tumblr. However, there have been detailed articles written about these people's endeavors and their methods in trying to beat the censor bot. As a result, most of these methods may not be viable in the future, as it is doubtful that Tumblr does not have an employee on the lookout for such things, and articles like this will make it much easier to spot. There are many who have hailed this as the death of Tumblr, or at the very least as the death of Tumblr as we know it. There are people who are claiming they will never use Tumblr again. However, there are also cynics who have been on Tumblr for a long time who feel that a lot of it is just talk, and that these people will be back, as there is not an equivalent platform like Tumblr that provides what it does. At least, not yet. And that since not everybody was going there solely for not safe for work content, that people may begin to trickle back in for the things that they did enjoy, such as the memes, the theories, the discussions, and the community. There will also be new users who come to Tumblr post this purge and will know only these rules should these rules remain intact, and as a result, will act accordingly. All of this remains to be seen. It depends on how the other platforms accommodate these new users, and whether they can find a similar experience, and how strongly they feel about what Tumblr has done. However, there are some who feel that this will not be permanent. As Tumblr began cleaning house, they were reinstated into the Apple App Store on December 13th, days before the official purge itself. Some feel that this was the entire intent of the purge. Tumblr, aka Yahoo, now aka Verizon, trying to get back into Apple's good graces and back into the App Store as it was required for their demographic and to grow, as Tumblr has not been doing very well in recent years. As a result, when the Tumblr app reappeared, some felt that the purge would not occur. However, as of December 17th, it has indeed been put into effect, though some feel that it is just for show, and that in a few months or years' time, things will filter back onto Tumblr as they have in the past, as Tumblr has attempted to ban other things unilaterally in the past as well, such as self-harm blogs or Dear Anna blogs, and those are very much still on Tumblr as well. However, some feel that this purge feels very different, and they fear that it will indeed be permanent. For many, this goes beyond Tumblr itself and its discussions about how society feels about sex and porn and the line that they draw between them, and how some feel that that line is drawn far too broadly and far far too thickly, and that when they hear the statement given by Tumblr that this is still a safe space and that people are still free to express themselves, that they are truly not. As for many, expressions of sexuality and sensuality are not about shock value or titillation or getting off. There are many different ways to engage with not safe for work content, and many feel that this kind of ban makes it seem like all engagement or any is inappropriate, and that can create unhealthy attitudes towards sex and sexualities, and as a result, it is not a healthy way to look at things. Of course, there is the flip side, those who feel that all of this is far too prominent and displayed far too much, and that there is indeed a time and the place, and that Tumblr is not it, especially when so many young users can stumble upon it, and that there may be more titillation or shock value going on than people think or want to admit, and that is not appropriate and belongs on another platform. Tumblr's current CEO made a statement about how there are plenty of platforms where one can find their adult content. However, many critics of this purge state that this is not the case, as so much of the content was created by groups you do not usually get to see this kind of material from. And so there aren't really many platforms where they can post this kind of material, as most actual porn sites cater to traditional porn, which is very different from much of the content that was being produced on Tumblr. Often heteronormative, made by males for males, the Tumblr audience was very different and produced a variety of nuanced work on a scale. Again, going back to the theory that the brush is too broad. One thing that many are curious to see is how effective this purge actually will be in its stated intended purpose, getting rid of the child porn and also the longtime plague of porn bots, though that was a secondary objective. Many fear that this purge will not have the result that the company hopes for, and that indeed these communities will still flourish on Tumblr, but instead they will have to be more subtle, go underground, and be more covert. And in fact, Tumblr may have made it more difficult to uproot these individuals and actually catch them and punish them accordingly. Though of course, some are more optimistic. As with all things, it remains to be seen. The Tumblr purge will definitely go down in fandom history, and for most, it will not go down as a positive moment or a well-handled one. How do you feel about the Tumblr purge? Has it affected you? Have you left Tumblr? And if you have, do you think you will return? Do you believe the rationale behind why the purge happened, or do you think there was another reason? What do you think would be the solution for making Tumblr a more advertiser-friendly and potentially safer platform for those involved? This is of course a complicated and nuanced issue, so I want to hear all of your thoughts. Indeed, there are some who are thrilled by this, as they never enjoyed Tumblr and feel that this is Tumblr's comeuppance. Just remember when discussing down there that this is not a bashing space, and there are a variety of opinions out there, and we can all have a discussion about them without it degenerating into, well, what some feel Tumblr often degenerated into. Respectful discourse is 100% possible, and it's where some of the most intriguing conversations develop. I'm looking forward to reading all of your comments, and you know the drill. Numbered if possible. In this case, probably not. But I do indeed love a good essay comment, so please leave me one. We will continue to keep an eye on this Tumblr purge, and of course produce other content as well, so if you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, not all as dense and heavy as this. Sometimes we just get a little silly. I will see you all again soon, and until then, let's get to the outro. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side, for helping to make these videos possible. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so until then, stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.